Welcome to the Business News Podcast with Zach,
Adam,
and Brian.
Yeah, go Brian.
Brian, special guest.
Thank you. Very pleasant to be here.
He's my brother, even though we don't really look alike, but we are related.
That's right.
Same mom, different dads.
I'm the brains. He's the muscle.
He's 14 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
Right.
that's more info than you needed.
There we go.
It's an appropriate amount of info for the.
Probably could have just left it at he's my brother.
Okay.
And then now
There you go.
I appreciate you pointing out how old I am. That's kind of.
Well, you said you were the brains.
Yeah. Well, I mean.
I wasn't going to say anything. I was going to throw you under the bus on your age, but you took a little pot shot at me.
All right. Well,
Go ahead,
Wait,
Zach.
so if you're the muscle,
I'm not very strong either.
which implies that I'm not very smart. So let's just go with that.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Intro it.
all right. So we have a shout out to Garrett Cole, one of our loyal listeners. If you would like to get a shout out and you are a loyal listener, then leave a comment on one of our YouTube videos.
Hey, Garrett. Thank you, man. Thank you. One thing, Garrett, tell a friend. Garrett has other friends besides you, right?
I hope so.
Hey, Garrett, tell some of your other friends to check out the Business News Podcast. Where can they find us, Zach? What platforms?
Spotify, YouTube,
That's
Apple
good.
Podcasts,
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn.
Pocket Casts,
Check us out on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
What else?
There's one called like Over Podcast.
Over Podcast. That's solid. That's a solid
Podcast Breaker, or maybe it's Breakcast or something like that. There's like a whole bunch of them.
one. Very sweet.
Or if you just go to anchor.fm/TBNP.
So for those of you who are listening for your first time, let me tell you what you're going to get on this podcast, all right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get three dudes sitting in a conference room in front of a huge piece of gray construction paper
Yes.
talking about the most riveting, the most groundbreaking, the most
Thought-provoking.
necessary, thought-provoking. This is information that you need to know. All right, if you're a business person and you're in business, and I know that's redundant, but if you're a business person that's in business and you need the news, you need to know what's going on in the market, so you've got all of the data points that you need to make profitable business decisions, you will not get all of that from this podcast.
No, not actually. Fairly little of that.
But the first 75% of that, I think you will get the last piece about getting the data points for the profitable business decisions.
Mhm.
You will not get that on this podcast, but I can help you with that.
Also not happening.
I own an accounting firm, ibasbusiness.com. You can check that out. All right?
Is it really redundant that if somebody is a business person but not in business, can't you be a business person who's not currently in business?
No.
I was
Yeah.
also thinking about that.
Because if I'm a swimmer, that doesn't mean that all I do is swim. I'm a swimmer, but I'm not swimming.
But-
so I could be a business person who's not businessing in that moment. It's not
But-
really redundant.
Well, you might not have to be doing business right now in this
Mhm.
moment, but you are actively engaged in business as a part of your daily routine. I would say that is the definition,
of a business
because
person.
after you aren't, like, if you're Michael Phelps,
Mhm.
you're a swimmer,
right.
but once you stop competing, you're sort of a retired swimmer. You're not really
Well, I'm not talking about
an active
retired.
swimmer. I know.
What if I was furloughed from my my job due to the crisis? But does that therefore invalidate my business credentials?
No, it doesn't. But if
I just
you're-
feel like you're insulting some of your listeners, and
I'm
that
just-
could be
if you're-
affect your listenership. you know?
if it doesn't mean you have to be actively doing business 24 hours a day, but if you're no longer practicing law, are you really an attorney? You're not. I'll leave that there.
All right. Well,
That was a rhetorical question. That was a rhetorical question. I didn't need an answer from you. All I need you to do is rubber stamp that comment, and let's move it right along.
Let's move it along.
All right.
Okay, so all coronavirus, all show, or
I feel like
do you guys want to talk about some other topic?
Well, we
or
have
should
our-
we just do coronavirus across the board?
I think it'll probably naturally gravitate towards coronavirus as we go through the subjects, which were kind of inflected by the coronavirus anyhow. So,
I just
Exactly.
can I give a quick intro to some of these articles?
mhm.
Coronavirus, 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 coronavirus. Thoughts?
I haven't heard of that. What is that? I don't stay up much with the news. I'm not sure about the worldwide interwebs and such things. I mostly get my information from my daughter, who's about to turn 12, and it's something about TikTok. So I guess she's a clock enthusiast.
There you go.
Are we posting our
TikTok.
shows on TikTok, Zach?
We're not.
We need to get on TikTok.
Why?
His daughter might like the show.
Not on TikTok.
I'm
No.
gonna go ahead and say she will not like this show because I'm involved in
What about
it.
Zach? Zach's a dreamboat.
He is a dreamboat. The kid's dreamy. I mean,
Look at the
no doubt
hair.
about it.
How old's your daughter?
He's got that hair. What's that?
How's your daughter?
She's 11, almost 12.
She's gonna love the hair.
I can't disagree with that.
I think we need to be on TikTok. They'll hate us, but they'll probably like you, Zach.
So you just want me to like post videos of myself?
Yeah, I just want you to edit this video so you zoom in
Right.
in such a way that it just is like your face, and you only
And
put
just
the parts
spread
where
it
you
all
talk.
But
over
as far as I
TikTok.
understand it, each segment's going to have to be 6 seconds long.
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
going to be a lot of editing.
We're gonna need you to take your shirt off too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's part of the job
Whoa, I
now.
thought we weren't going with the run.
I'm not. I'm just saying that's what the 12-year-old girls are gonna want. All right. So what's the first article here, Zach? Hit us with it.
Unlike some cruise ports, super yacht marinas remain open amid coronavirus fears. An expert says it's because yachts are more hygienic and less monitored than cruise ships.
Did you guys feel that this article? Who wrote this article, by the way?
A cruise.
Hillary Hoffer.
A yacht industry enthusiast, for sure.
This article sure seemed contrived. Like they have written everything they can write about the coronavirus, and they're just reaching for one other topic that they could put something out on. That's how it felt to me a little bit.
I felt like she was really selling the idea that yachts are way cleaner than any other alternative that floats on water. And boy, oh boy, should you not be worried as either a crew member or a passenger on a yacht.
Also, I noticed this line in the headline. An expert says it's because yachts are more hygienic and less monitored than cruise ships. Who's the yacht expert? Does she
More
have a
hygienic and less monitored? Or do those two really go well together?
Yeah.
Does she have a PhD in something, and that's why she's an expert? It sounds like that's just a lady who works on a yacht.
Famed maritime epidemiologist Jennifer Suarez, whatever her name was.
Who's the expert? A CEO of a yachting company?
No, that's just the person that owns the yachts in the marina.
Okay.
Who knows
So,
who the expert
have
is.
either of you ever been on a cruise? You've been on cruises.
Mhm.
You've ever been on a cruise?
I have never been on a cruise.
Me
No,
neither.
I've been on like large multi-hour ferry boats in Greece and stuff, which is cruise-ish.
No, that's not like a cruise.
I mean, I got the norovirus, so it's very similar.
You and
know?
I have been on. Yeah, we went on those
The Greek island,
Greek
yeah.
stuff. But I think a cruise, you have to be on there overnight at least for it to be considered a cruise.
I was on an overnight ferry.
Were you?
Yeah.
All right. Is overnight alone enough to be a cruise, or does it have to be a cruise liner for it to be a cruise? And then it would only be if you're on there for only an hour. It still counts because you're on the cruise liner.
Okay, Zach may disagree with this. If you go to a port, get on a big old boat with a bunch of other people, sleep overnight on that boat, and then arrive at a destination, that's basically a cruise.
Sounds like a cruise to me.
You're signing off on that?
Yeah, sounds like a
Oh
cruise.
man! Hey, listeners, put it in the comment section. These guys are
Ganging up on Adam is
these
the name of
guys
this
are
show. for
totally
sure.
off base on what qualifies as a cruise. You just get on a big boat and stay overnight. What about the aerobics that you did? You didn't know they're doing aerobics on cruises. What about the buffet? What
That's
about the
true.
movie
Did you
theater?
Did you have a buffet?
No buffet, but aerobics, yes.
They didn't have the aerobics.
Yeah,
You liar.
you got the
There was no
aerobics,
aerobics on your cruise, you liar.
Oh, what'd you just call it? Yes.
It was a slip.
Absolutely.
It was a slip.
The slip is what you leave from when your cruise ship
So,
embarks.
You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. Have you ever been on a yacht?
I have not
You ever
been
been on a
invited
yacht?
onto a
I
yacht.
have.
Dude,
Really? This guy. It's the hair.
let me tell you
That
something.
hair, like, this guy gets on to
I'm going to tell you
into
something
clubs on yachts.
about Zach and his family.
Mhm.
Zach comes from a great family.
Okay.
This is a middle class family, but they do a lot of stuff. They traveled a lot of places.
Mhm.
Zach's been to Europe. He's been on cruises.
Mhm.
He's been in Ecuador. He had dengue fever. So he's got a lot of
By
experience.
the way, I feel like the four things you just mentioned fall well short of the wow line from being on a
Which one? Which one?
Anybody can go to Ecuador.
But
Millions
no
of
one,
people
no,
do
but
it.
most people
Going
don't.
to Europe, millions of
But
people
not in
do
their
it.
not in their childhood.
What were the other ones that you mentioned?
Most people don't
Like-
go to overseas in their childhood. before
No,
that.
that's true. Most Americans.
He went
don't.
as a kid to a lot of these places.
Yeah.
So that's pretty sweet.
There you go.
We didn't go, no,
absolutely.
I
So
didn't
what
go.
was the context of you going on a yacht? That's like, let's not bury the lead.
So he's been on a yacht?
I know that
Yeah,
that
please.
was to me. Everything else was below a weird dotted line, but going on a yacht like jumped it completely. How did you get on a yacht?
Friends who own a yacht.
That's a
Well.
big shot. Ooh la la.
Ooh, fancy.
There you go.
So that's what I was saying. So Zach,
Mhm.
you don't come from a rich family.
Exactly.
We also didn't come from a rich family.
Was your dad a butler for these folks by any chance? I mean, how do you guys know you come from a middle class family? How do you know yacht folk?
You just have friends in Seattle that own a yacht.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all
Wait,
you do.
by yacht, what kind of a vessel are we talking about here? What's the definition of a yacht?
38 foot.
Who
38 foot.
I mean, how big are you?
I don't know.
thinking
What
of?
is the definition? Adam, you do definitions. What's the
that sounds
definition
that
of a yacht?
sounds 38 feet sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So who drove the yacht? Who was the captain on the ship? The owner of the yacht, or did they hire a driver?
The owner.
Did he wear the captain hat?
No, he's bald.
Let me tell you
I
guys.
feel like we're falling short of the definition.
Let
of
me
yacht
both
here.
tell
There's
you-
no crew.
Google it on your phone. Let me tell you guys something
There
right
you
now.
go. Google it on
If
your
I
phone.
owned a yacht
Uh-huh.
and I was the captain on the yacht,
Mhm.
I'd always be wearing that captain hat.
And with the blazer with the brass buttons.
Just
I mean,
be
like the guy-
just be barking off orders like starboard,
Absolutely.
starboard over there.
Avast.
Yeah, that's pack into the wind. Just be making people.
That's a sailboat.
That's a sailboat thing, right? So, but
Oh.
they have yachts with sails.
Yachts don't have sails.
They have some. I've seen yachts that have like
Oh,
sails.
That's no longer a yacht. That's just a sailboat.
No, but they're big. They have big, enormous,
Got it.
like carbon
So-
fiber sails.
so
and
That's
stuff.
still a sailboat.
So when you're driving a yacht,
Okay.
it's basically just like driving a car. You don't need to worry about the wind or anything like that.
Mhm.
All right, I'd still be
Basically.
moseying around with the captain hat on.
Yeah, including in port, like just on land. You'd be like, "Why are you wearing that captain's hat, sir?" And you'd be like, "No, not sir, captain."
Yeah, because I own a yacht, and that's all you need to know. If you own a yacht, well, then I'll be asking the questions around here, and you just answer them. Now, as far as coronavirus goes, let me pose you guys a hypothetical. If right now, today, given the circumstances with the coronavirus, if you were to get invited onto a yacht this afternoon, like a yacht party, are you going or are you staying home?
Do I know the person that?
Yeah, you know. But there's going to be a crowd. There's going to be 40 people.
What kind of
40 people.
How many people can fit on the yacht?
Depends how big the yacht
Depends
is.
on the yacht. How many people would safely have fit on that 38 footer you were on? Do you think?
How wide is it?
Like 10.
Like 10 people.
10. How wide is the 38-foot yacht?
Like 12, 13 feet.
Well, that
What
gives-
kind of food service are we talking
Well, hold
about?
on a
Like,
second.
I mean, are we got a
Wait,
buffet
wait, wait,
going
wait,
on
wait.
here?
So if you
I
got-
don't know if I'm going to make my
Maybe it's
decision to go on the
15
boat.
feet. I don't know.
All right, but if
Between
you're,
12 and 15.
if you're 38 feet long
Yeah.
and you're 15 feet wide, you got almost.
That's a short, stubby yacht.
But
if
don't
you ask
you?
me.
But don't you have almost like 6,000 or 600 square feet? 6,000 something. What is it? 600? You got 600 square
Well, it's
feet.
38 times 15.
Yeah, so 40 times 15 gets you to 600.
That's right.
So
38 times
600.
feet is about 560 square feet.
All right,
or
so
so
560 square feet.
570 square feet.
So that feels like you got plenty of square footage to
Well,
get
that's
40
a,
people.
that's a studio apartment. How many people can you fit in a studio apartment?
Is that a studio apartment?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
look, guys, boats
10.
aren't just like this flat.
It's not a perfect, like, yeah.
Yeah.
I
the
understand.
beam
So,
is what it is.
You're right. You're
for
right.
The widest.
You're right. 600 square feet is a studio apartment. So that being the case, if you're at a 40-person party on that, 38 by 15 in times of
Everyone
coronavirus,
will
I think
have
you got to pass on
coronavirus.
that.
That's going to be, you're going to be no social distancing.
No,
is
although you got the
possible.
like the salt air coming through, so there is wind.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure salt air doesn't kill coronavirus.
There is wind. I think it's pretty well known that windy locations do not have
Well,
any
if you
kind of-
got pretty much all you got to do if you got the coronavirus is just head on down to the beach.
stand in front of a fan. Is that
On the beach. You take a
Okay.
fan to the beach.
all right? Well, based on that article, what I want to know is her assertion that yachts are in some way more hygienic than cruise ships. What is that based on? Does she know the cleaning regime of all yachts, or is it just that cruise ships are so disgusting?
I think it must be that there's so many people.
Yeah.
And so that the chances of sloppiness
Mm-hmm.
are way higher. How come we have a yacht article on the Business News podcast? Does that have anything to do with business?
Well, it was in the context of yacht shows being canceled
shows.
from coronavirus and stuff
so
like
if
that.
you type in business
Uh-huh.
on Google and click news,
That's one of the things
this
that
was
comes
one
up.
of the things that.
I noticed you went heavy on the Business Insider as well.
That's this week. That's all the articles are business.
I think we had some articles previously from the Business Insider as
Yeah,
well.
Zach was so heavy on the Business Insider, I ran out of free articles, and frankly, on the last one, I'm going to be a little behind the curve because they wanted me to join, and I just wasn't going to pay a buck.
I was able to read all of them.
I know. I guess I was already heavy on the Business Insider.
Oh, you were already reading it from before.
Apparently so.
Yeah. So, anyways, what's the conclusion here? Are we up or down on the yachts? Would you go on a yacht if you got invited today?
Well, I mean, the elites who planned and executed this entire coronavirus and are using it as a tool to subjugate the working classes clearly are the people that are on the yachts. So I do not want to be in their presence. No, I'm saying no to yachts because
Zach, do you do the yacht thing right now if you get invited?
Not with 40 people, but if I have the money to just go on a yacht, why not?
I'm going to take another point of view. If the elites are on the yachts and they are the ones that are trying to manipulate us for some reason.
Adam's going to make some sales over there.
Yeah. Well, first we're going to get them all signed up at the accounting. But then what I'm going to do, I'm going to get them back by getting them the corona. They're trying to stay on the yachts to avoid it. I'm bringing justice to them. Of course, after the contracts are already signed.
Right.
Then I add insult to injury.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I like it. I like your plan. I like your plan better than mine.
And then I grab a bottle of Don Perignon and some caviar, and I'm out of there.
You know what? I think I'm going to change from a revolutionary model to trying to make change from the inside.
Yeah. You think they got bacon wrapped shrimp?
Well, that's what I was asking. Like, what kind of a spread are we talking about?
Probably got the bacon wrapped shrimp, I would imagine.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, what do you got?
Food delivery apps are switching to no contact drop-offs as usage during coronavirus lockdown spikes. What is a contact drop-off?
Do they knock on the door and talk to you?
I would guess with hair like that people want to hug you when they're dropping off your food. I mean,
they just touch you.
It doesn't happen.
Like the back of a hand on your cheek.
You guys don't hug your delivery person?
I've never actually delivered food on a food delivery app. Have you, Brian?
Yes, I have received food delivered by a food delivery app.
Zach?
I have.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
So you guys are ahead of the game. I never would do that.
We're ahead of the game. Yeah. We're really living on the tech edge.
If I could just go ahead and rail a little bit on the current state of affairs.
Yes.
Go ahead and don't have a dude drive your food. What are you, a baby? I remember once when I'm just going to rail against this. I remember once when I was maybe 9 or 10 years old, I was super sick. And then I stopped being sick, but I was still kind of playing it up like I was sick so that my family would keep spoiling me. And I had our mom, she came in, she said, "Oh, honey, are you feeling better?" I said, "Mom, I'm still a little bit sick." She said, "Is there anything I can do for you?" I said, "Mom, can you drive out and get me a burger from my favorite burger restaurant?"
It's my go-to for sore throat.
It will make me feel so. I hadn't been eating, right? It will make me feel so much better. I was really hamming it up. And to me, that's what everybody's doing when they order on their food delivery app. Toughen up, people. Just go get your food. Don't be babies.
Are you a habitual food delivery person, Zach? Is
No,
that something that you do quite a bit?
It's not.
Yeah.
I guess if you're sick and you can't make it out. Actually, the food delivery is probably pretty good for the current circumstances.
Well, I mean, okay, so is this to supposedly protect the person who's receiving the food from it's to protect the delivery person.
I think it's supposed to protect everybody.
But the
we're
person,
all just supposed to stay
someone's
away
still
from
cooking and packaging the food. So if there's coronavirus in the restaurant, then the person who's receiving the food and the person who's delivering it, frankly, we're going to have to go to a level 4 biohazard suit for everybody at all times that's the way this is going, right?
Probably part of this also is to allow the restaurants to continue to do business.
Yeah.
Because if you shut it down altogether, the restaurants won't be able to cook or sell up any food, right?
Well, let's talk about the general decline in ability to cook. Like, people don't cook anymore, and I blame it on this guy's generation.
I do.
Do you know how to cook?
Yeah, I do.
He's actually a pretty good cook. Remember, he comes from a good family. I think his parents. Didn't you with your parents have a thing where they made the kids cook dinner once a week?
I still cook once.
When did he ever have time to cook? He's going to Europe. He's going to Ecuador. He's on yachts all the time. There was something else you mentioned. This guy's busy.
It's work-life balance.
A couple hours doing his hair every day.
When you got good hair like Zach, you really don't have to do anything.
Exactly. So you're telling me he voluntarily cooks?
I have more questions about the food delivery app. Okay, so I understand pizza.
Right.
You call up, you get a pizza delivered to you.
But why not just go and pick up the pizza, according to your logic?
So the only place where I will give you, I agree with that. I think you should go pick up your pizza. Unless maybe you got a party or something going on, it's hard to get away, so you're going to have it brought to you, which is something similar to having some catering done. But here's the question that I have. What else do you order on the food delivery app? Anything? Sandwiches? Hot dogs? Burgers? Fast food? Mexican? What are you ordering on your food delivery app?
Pretty much my delivery app experience is I was working downtown and I ordered a sandwich and a guy on a bike came and gave me a sandwich.
So a sandwich in particular, I feel like a sandwich wants to be eaten right after it's made.
No, a sandwich is one of the most portable foods,
Oh,
much more so than anything
Even
else.
so, it doesn't get soggy and stuff, and then if it's wrapped up, it doesn't get a little condensation and stuff on the inside of the plastic.
Yes, it's optimal. Optimally, you wouldn't have it in there for a long time. But imagine if you go to a sandwich shop, even Subway or Jersey Mike or wherever.
You take that to go.
Well, yeah, they're going to wrap it for you. It's going to be in the wrapper for at least a few minutes until you get where you're going to eat it. So a sandwich is made to be wrapped.
How'd your sandwich show up? In good shape?
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, it's not like it.
Was it mushy and stuff? I mean, did it taste like a good, fresh sandwich?
Yeah.
Or was it in bad shape?
Well, he put it, so they have like coolers strapped on the back of their bike.
Right.
And they just pop it in there.
Okay. Would you guys be scared to order food from a restaurant right now? Would that freak you out?
Oh, no.
No problem at all with that?
The delivery doesn't change the calculus, because the real problem with food always, not just in times of coronavirus, is who's cooking the food. You don't know what that person, who they've been hanging out with, how they're feeling, if they're well or not well, how clean their hands are.
They could just have the flu right now.
Yes, exactly. And you can't see that person. They're typically completely hidden from you. The server, if you're at a restaurant, is analogous, I guess, to the delivery person. But who's making it?
Yeah, I mean, they could be a terrible chef as well.
The food
is terrible.
Yeah. So here's one other thought.
That's a good point.
Here's one other dark cloud to put over eating out generally.
Yeah.
I've been watching the docu-series Rotten on Netflix. Have you seen this, Zach?
I have not.
I talked to you about it. The industrial food system is a nightmare. You should not be eating in restaurants.
Now you're getting deep.
I'm getting deep. I don't care. This is my chance. This is our platform. This is my chance to say what's really on my mind. You probably shouldn't be eating in restaurants anyways. I know you love Chick-fil-A. I don't think you should eat there, man. Have you seen how mass-produced chicken is produced? Brian? I don't think you guys want to mess with it. I'm sorry. Even Subway, like the ham and the roast beef, unless you're eating some stuff where you know where it came from, it's pretty creepy.
Well, now wait a minute. You just said unless you're eating some stuff that you know where it came from. Where'd your lettuce come from in the salad that you ate with me today?
Okay, so the best you can do.
No. Answer the question, Adam. Where does lettuce come from?
So we shop at fancy grocery stores, and on the grocery store or on the packaging, it says the name of the farm that you're buying it from, and it says like raised organically.
Packaging.
It's
so what if you buy like a head of lettuce from the big stack of lettuce? You don't know where that lettuce comes from.
So usually in the upper, like in the higher scale grocery stores, you can correct me if I'm wrong, like a PCC, for example, which is an expensive place where we shop.
Correct.
It'll say a little bit of something about where they got the lettuce from, and whether it's organic. And we always buy organic.
Okay.
So that mitigates some of that, right? You don't necessarily know where it comes from, but you have some data points that make you feel better about what you're eating.
So where do you get your chicken from?
We buy the free range organic chicken stuff, man.
What you're basically saying is I don't know really where it comes from, but there's a patina, a sheen of trustability,
correct,
based on me paying more money for it,
not
and
only
them
that,
bothering to tell me about it.
Not only that, but also the stores where you buy it from make some statements about the type of products that they're willing to carry. And if you trust the brand promises of the store where you're buying, then you could feel a little bit better about what you're eating. But if you just go into Walmart and buy Foster's Freeze chicken or whatever it is, you can
Foster's Freeze chicken. Don't they do milkshakes?
Do they?
Isn't that a company?
Foster Farms? Foster Farms.
There you go.
What does Chick-fil-A, for example, say about their chicken? Do they make any claims about the chicken that they're putting in there, or is it just
that it's delicious? That's the only.
It's just delicious. It's fried up in a good way, but we don't actually know where the chicken comes from.
Oh, but they have posters all over with cows saying like, "Thank
eat
you
more
for
chicken."
eat more chicken."
Yeah.
Look, I hate to ruin everybody's good time, but that's exactly what I'm going to go ahead and do. Don't eat anything from fast food. The rest of the chicken can't be good, man. Watch the chicken episode on Rotten. Will you do that for me? You're not going to do it, Brian.
I'm not doing because ignorance is bliss, man.
Well, you're not ignorant anymore because I'm telling you.
I'm not. Well, look, I'm not a fast food guy, but I don't necessarily buy all my stuff at PCC. I personally feel like there's probably a thin margin between the trustworthiness of the things that you can buy at PCC and the things that you buy other places. I will grant you that PCC may have, keep with the lettuce analogy. They may have lettuce from a farm that's more local, that's organic, etc. If you buy organic lettuce at Safeway or QFC,
I think you're probably in decent shape.
It's probably coming. It may be coming from further away. It may be a bigger farm, a more of a factory farm in the Central Valley of California or in Arizona or something like that. Hopefully, they're being held to the same organic standard.
I think they probably are. And and when you buy stuff, for example, like lettuce, like a plastic container of lettuce, usually you got the name of the company, and there's some little stuff on there that might hip you to what's going on. But you're right.
You can't know the conditions of those farms.
You cannot know. But it is something you can easily do that probably does give you a step up in quality.
You bring up something interesting. As you know, I've worked for 12 years in the food industry, kind of indirectly through a project that we do together. And there is a basic disconnect between most people in the first world and the source of their food. So what you're saying is not incorrect. That there's a basic disconnect between the consumer and the producer of the food. Most consumers do not know any producers of food, nor where their food comes from. And it's way more complex than just who's growing it. What's the soil? What's the water? What's the post-harvest processing and packaging? What's the transport? That lettuce that you think is great that's in the bag that you feel like is trustworthy may be packed with gas so that it matures in the bag at a certain rate, and that may not be healthy. There's a lot more variables than
you're right. But in the case of your project, right? Our project, if somebody comes to us and buys cocoa beans or chocolate from us,
right,
our brand promise actually does deliver on something that's better than they otherwise would get.
Right.
And so to the extent that we're trustworthy, we actually are delivering on what we're saying we're delivering. And I think that's the case a lot of times. If you have a relationship or if you believe in the brand promise that the business is making, and they actually are trustworthy, they're not liars, they're charging you more, but they're also doing more on the supply chain, then the likelihood is that you actually probably are getting something of better quality. And part of the reason why I believe in that is because I know in our business we do that. We did that. You actually were getting delivered something that was better.
Right.
The farmers were getting paid more. The post-harvest processing was better.
The
quality of the ingredients were higher.
At the big industrial level, I don't know if it holds, but you'd like to hope so. But I got one question for Zach. You had your sandwich delivered. This bike guy that delivered the sandwich seemed like a really clean guy to you.
What kind of bike was he riding? Was it a BMX or was
he some kind of scummy dude?
More or less, but I don't really care because it was in a tinfoil wrapping.
Right.
So
did you have any physical contact with that person?
No.
Right. And this was before the era of explicitly contact-free delivery, right?
Right.
So I think that kind of implies that they're saying this to make people feel better, but there's actually no real change in the delivery process.
Because they're just going to hand you the food. So they've touched one side of the box and you're touching the other side. If they bring the food and leave it on your doorstep, they have touched the thing and you're now going to pick it up. Unless they're wearing gloves.
Right. Unless it was something weirdly bulky and your hands like grazed each other during the handoff.
That happens.
I don't see how... Occasionally.
Sometimes you get a little awkward accidental hand touch with somebody.
I don't see how this is
true.
Really... Yeah, it can happen. So now they'll probably set it down. You know what? It's probably a good idea to just take that extra step of being careful by setting it down and not having any inadvertent contact. But the basic paradigm of food delivery does not include body contact.
If you get an accidental, say you got a bottle of water and you're handing it to someone, that's very... You've got a very good chance of a weird accident.
But according to the new rules of coronavirus, there's already contact. Because what is on your hand is on the bottle on your hand. It doesn't matter.
Forget about the coronavirus. I'm saying when you hand something to somebody, like another dude, and he grabs in your hand.
It's a little awkward.
It's weird.
You say sorry or do you just let it go? I usually apologize for touching a dude's hand on accident.
A little defensive, aren't you?
I just don't want there to be any weird feelings between us, like he thinks I'm trying to touch his hand on purpose or anything like that. So anyways.
You've thought a lot about this.
I just don't like weird, like unintentional touching like that. You know? It's a little weird. All right, what's the next?
Adam's got some body.
What's the next one? What's the next article?
All right. A bad typo can cost your business millions. This app keeps your writing pristine.
Written by the owners of this app.
Right.
Man, was this a promote? I thought you chose a totally promotional article.
Super lame.
What's the name of this article again?
This article was simply trying to sell subscriptions to super spell checkers.
What's it called? What's the name of the app?
Um,
I think there's already a super famous app called Grammarly that I've seen a lot of.
yeah, a lot of people use Grammarly. I've used that one before.
Have you used it?
Grammarly?
Yeah. Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like it?
Yeah, and it's free, whereas White Smoke Grammar Checker is not free.
White Smoke.
That
Sounds like they're announcing the Pope or something.
That's a rough name. Yeah.
Also,
That's not a great name. It's not very.
can
not very
can a
catchy.
typo really cost your business millions?
I don't think so. I can't see how it would.
Maybe not I mean, boy, that's a one heck of a typo. It'd have to be a crazy coincidence. I mean, you could have some kind of a translation error, or you could use metric instead of imperial or something, and that could be a big deal.
That's
One
true.
typo cost you millions? What kind of typo are we talking about?
Yeah,
I'm trying to
exactly.
imagine that scenario.
It just doesn't sound realistic, so that's
Right.
overblown. Also, again, to rail on modern times, maybe we'll just learn how to write well. Is that too much to ask? That you just craft a decent sentence without a computer assistance?
We should get into a far-ranging discussion about the shortcomings of our educational system.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
But one thing for sure.
I mean, right here's the perfect example.
So, but again, Mr. Good Family over
Great
here.
hair, but how's this grammar? How's this spelling?
How is your grammar and your spelling?
Shouldn't that be how are your grammar and spelling?
How are they? Yeah. it was too sad. Actually, no, you're wrong. How is your grammar?
And also, how is your spelling?
That's what I meant to say. This podcast, I'm trying to be succinct.
Right, I hear you.
Yeah.
I think my spelling's decent. My grammar, I think I know the rules for the most part, but I ignore them.
Can you define an adverb for me, Zach?
Adverb.
If that is your real name. Adverb. Can you
It's
define an adverb?
It's an adjective to a verb, an additional verb.
Well, give us an example.
Adding a verb.
Give us an example of an adverb.
The opposite.
You realize there's only one D in
The
adverb.
opposite of subtracting a verb.
So
That's close. It's a word that functions as a modifier to
and
a
the
verb,
rule is
typically
generally
in an adjective.
you'll have an ly on the end of that. Like he ate quickly.
There you go.
Eating is the verb. Quickly is the adverb.
Right.
If you were to translate that into Spanish, you usually see a mente on the end, like completamente. That would be the Spanish translation. You know, I'm bilingual. No big deal. No big deal. Fluent in 2 languages.
Right.
No, but the other thing I want to just go back to the grammar too is you actually don't need to have, now typos you probably want to keep an eye out for, but you don't necessarily need to have perfect grammar when you're communicating. And
Well, this article wasn't talking about grammar. It was specifically typos.
typos.
Yeah, specifically typos.
You already have spell check.
I was going to say,
Spell check is in the email program.
you said that you use a free spell checker called Grammarly. Is it significantly better than the spell checker that comes built into almost every word processing program at this point?
No.
I think
So what's the rationale for using that instead of the built-in?
I don't even use it. I used it once because somebody
So I
suggested
know,
it. But
for example, in a Word document, if you're typing, they have a spell check, but they also have grammar suggestions.
Yeah, right.
So I
You
think
got your blue dotted line, you got your red dotted
So I
line.
bet Grammarly also has grammar suggestions, how to keep your email succinct.
Right.
But do you consider yourself to be a pretty good writer, Brian?
I do.
Do you consider yourself to be a pretty good writer?
Yeah.
Yeah? I like writing too. Do you think that the trick is to just try to write in your voice, write the same way that you speak? I feel like that's a pretty good approach to get good communication in written form.
yeah.
That makes sense. I think there's no question that when you read someone's writing, it comes through in their voice. So I think that's sort of inherent to the writing process.
I think what a lot of people do when they write is they try to either sound more intelligent, they try to sound unnaturally intelligent. They use words that they wouldn't actually use in real life, so they don't sound regular. They sound artificially articulate. Little alliteration there. They sound absolutely artificially articulate.
I find that most people speak much better than they write. I think they have a real hard time.
They
have a real hard time taking their natural rhythm and their natural communication process and putting it into the written form. I find that most people are fairly articulate speaking, but when they try to translate it into writing, it often falls quite a bit short. And there are a lot of spelling errors out there, although less now with spell checkers. But I mean, I don't think this article didn't convince me that as a business owner and a guy who runs another business that I needed to go get some special service to avoid $1 million.
This was not
typo.
This as an article. It wasn't an article. It was a promotional sales piece. But even as a promotional sales piece, it was weak. It was weak.
I challenge any listener, any viewer, anyone associated with this to come up with one example of a typo that could cost a company multi-millions of dollars. One typo.
Garrett, we're looking at you, Garrett.
Yeah.
All right, don't think we're just going to shout you out. You're not going to have to work for it. We want you to do some research and find one example of a typo costing a company $1 million. Zach, how were you at writing essays in school?
Good. I could bang them out pretty quick.
You're good? Brian, were you good?
Yeah, writing has always been one of my fortes. Yes.
Here's how bad of a high school student I was.
Mm-hmm.
This is how bad I was, all right? We were reading the story, Welcome to the Dollhouse. You remember that one? Who wrote that one?
Was it? No, I don't recall that.
I think it was a Norwegian guy.
John Grisham.
No, it's not John Grisham.
Right, Stephen King?
No. Anyways, we're reading that book. I wrote a whole essay on how, because my parents were getting divorced at the time. Looking back, I know why I wrote this essay.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a whole essay on how people should stay married forever. Okay. The teacher gave me a C on this essay, and she wrote underneath, she said, Adam, this article was hard-hitting, well-written, well thought out. This is your best work that you've done all year. Unfortunately, it has nothing to do with Welcome to the Dollhouse. I'm not sure if you read it, but I just want to say thank you for writing something and turning it in. So my best work all year was a C on an unrelated essay that didn't have anything to do with the assignment.
Is it inappropriate that we're totally laughing and the guy's expressing the pain that he was writing an essay about this?
And so years later,
they ended up really breaking up.
So years later, when I was graduating from high school, we had to do a senior portfolio where we aggregated all of our best work from our high school years to put that together.
Was 1 page long, that essay.
And so that was like one of the things I could include in my senior portfolio. That I had gotten a C on this one paper, and that the teacher said that it was my best work. So
that's great.
I was not a great high school student, not very good at all. Zach went to a running start and graduated from high school early. By the time he was 18, I ended up with a college degree.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive. But from what university? Was it like the University of American Samoa or something?
No.
What are you talking about here?
Was it the Bellevue Junior College?
Bellevue College. Junior college.
It's not a junior college?
It's
a 2 year.
Does it give 2 year degrees or 4 year degrees?
4.
Do you have a 4 year degree?
I don't.
Yeah.
Fancy. Sounds like the kind of school a yacht dwelling person would go to. Kind of guy who's been to Europe before he's 12.
When I came back from my trip to Poland, Warsaw, I went ahead and finished up my college work.
University.
University. Then we took a cruise.
We took a cruise.
Did some yachting.
went over to Europe for a while. Down to South America.
Did a little yachting. All right. Go ahead, Zach. What's the next article? Oh, so white smoke grammar checker?
Yeah.
2 thumbs down to that.
Yeah, 2 thumbs.
White smoke grammar checker, if you're listening to this.
Actually, we got 6 thumbs in here. So.
We got 6. We did not appreciate the sales piece put off as a serious business article. We think you can do better.
It was unserious and
by the way,
not businessy.
Sounds like you're a startup. If you need any accounting help, check us out at iBest.
Absolutely. We wish you the best, and we respect what you do.
Check out ibestbusiness.com.
That's right.
I'm perfectly willing to retract everything that I said previously.
Absolutely. We'll sell out in a heartbeat.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
All right. The most ridiculous ways companies are trying to profit from the coronavirus outbreak.
I've never read Vox. This article is on Vox. Have you read anything on Vox before?
I have read Vox from time to time.
Did you like Vox? You're the one who said you like Vox, right?
I watched their videos on YouTube.
These articles were really long, and there was a lot of fluff in there.
Content.
Yeah, it seems like Vox is doing their best to put out super long articles without much hard-hitting stuff in there. Man, there's like 2,000 words. Were any of these particularly ridiculous? Because in the heading it said the most ridiculous ways.
Right.
The ones
it was like services that a person could expect to need for the coronavirus outbreak.
Yeah, except for maybe there's no proof that they actually can't help you with coronavirus, but they seemed like legitimate services that just haven't been substantiated. Are you looking for a ridiculous example, Zach? Do you remember one?
What would be an actually ridiculous thing that you could do? Like, I don't know, come up like personal sanitization. You know, they could spritz you with
a scorpion tail.
Something like this.
Scorpion tail?
Yeah. Yeah. You're selling scorpion. You eat scorpion tail.
What? I mean, huh? What, like one that you put
Like
on
you have
and wear
a
to keep
mechanical
people away from
scorpion
you?
tail.
Yeah.
And
And
it
if someone,
squirts like
if someone
hand
comes close, you just
sanitizer.
Yeah. You
Okay.
put spiders, a home spider face kit where you just put spiders on your face. It's like these
Right.
guys eat the coronavirus out of your face.
Right.
And then you'll start feeling better.
temporary forehead tattoo
Okay,
that
so-
says "I've got it."
All right, so this one. So what do you got here?
So how do you guys feel about anti-spitting hats?
Oh, the anti-spitting hat. All right, that was a little bit ridiculous.
Oh, the
I forgot about
anti-spitting
that.
hat.
That was the only one.
Yeah.
I was expecting a much longer list of ridiculous anti-coronavirus things.
But you know that's something that's been around forever and it's just been adapted for the coronavirus. The anti-spitting hat is probably for people who work on, buffets or something like that. And they just adapted it to this. It's been around. They're
the hat. They got the Gilligan hat.
I know, I'm saying they've had, but
With
they
the face
didn't
mask.
develop the hat with the face mask just for the coronavirus. They had it and it was the SARS hat
So-
and then it was the flu hat and now it's the coronavirus hat.
Here's what I'm wondering about the guy who buys the anti-spit hat.
Mm-hmm.
Is he looking for stuff to keep him safe from coronavirus? And he's
Mhm.
scrolling. He's going,
I need a product.
echinacea, no.
Mm-hmm.
Zinc lozenges, no. Regular medical style face mask, no.
Right.
Gloves, no. Ooh, what do we have here? A Gilligan hat with a plastic flap hanging down in the front?
Yep.
That will keep. And I think this is actually so people don't spit on you, or is it so that you don't spit on people?
So
Who's
you don't
the wearer?
So you don't get spit on.
Yeah, so this guy's buying a hat in case other people are going to spit on him.
Let me ask you this: on a daily basis, do you feel like you get spit on a lot by the people you're talking to? I mean,
Very
is this
rarely.
a common occurrence?
Although before we were talking about the awkward time when you do an accidental hand touch. How about when you're talking and you get a little...
and you have an
accidental saliva
Absolutely.
spray and you hit another
Yeah.
guy in the face.
a little bit of
Or if it happens to you, always when this happens, you're talking, right? You're animated.
Yeah.
Little saliva flies out, it hits the dude, and the dude's always, you go, oh man, I'm so sorry. Dude's always got to go like this. No big deal.
Yeah, just like whip out a handkerchief like it's all right.
You always got to play it
Happens all
off.
the time.
Yeah, someone spits on you, you're like, no, we're cool.
Yeah.
We're cool. No,
You
keep
know,
going. What were you saying? Like,
A little bit of chip goes down in the salsa. You're like, it's fine.
Or,
yeah, but it's not fine. It's definitely
Or
not
if,
fine.
if you're eating and talking, you might spit a little of whatever you're eating right on the other person.
Ooh.
And then you say, oh man, I'm so sorry. Like you were saying, chips, they got a little chewed up tortilla chip on them. I think we're cool. We're cool. What were you saying? No,
Yeah.
we're good.
And now that I'm thinking about it, this hat's actually a bang up idea. I'm really buying into this now.
It's a little insulting if you wear it around people because that's like. So
what if I'm talking to Zach and I'm like, all right, everything, and you walk in and I'm like, oh, hold on, Adam. And I reach out, I put on my anti-spit hat, and I'm like, okay, Adam, proceed.
That's what I'm saying.
It's super insulting.
What's this one? It could be a little consulting. What's this other picture you have up here, Zach? What's this building here?
It's a shipping container.
Well, that's boring.
Keep the coronavirus out with windows up and sunroof closed, but moonroof engaged.
What are you supposed to do with that? Just sit inside of it?
Yeah,
Oh. So a shipping container that you just
it
sit in?
saves you from corona. Also, COVID-19 inspired emergency bug out bags.
Oh, was that just the first aid kit?
Right. Well, no, a bug out kit is something that you keep packed and ready to go. Where if the doo doo hits the fan at any time for any reason, you just pick up your bag and go.
Okay, so that seems legit. I mean, that doesn't seem very ridiculous.
It's not coronavirus centric. It's for
Exactly.
any kind of.
But they're just rebranding it as coronavirus.
But why would you leave during an outbreak?
Yeah, like where are you going?
Where are you going to go?
What's in the kit?
To the hills? Go to the hills?
I guess with the coronavirus, you bug in. You bug in.
That's right.
You don't bug out. You
Then
bug,
what's the bag for?
bug in.
Can I?
Well, we don't know what's in the bag. What's in the bag?
It's just a standard emergency.
Yeah, a bug out bag. It depends on what you're anticipating, but it would typically have some food, some water purification. So,
Well, that's in case you have to stay in for a long period of time.
can I give a plug?
Sure, go ahead.
I happen to be the owner of a domain behind which I've always wanted to build a business.
Yeah.
It has to do with bug out.
All right.
All right, I want you guys to wrap your heads around this. Speaking of crazy coronavirus inspired ideas, get your bug out bag, bug out pants. a pair of pants, preloaded with all the stuff you need. If it's time to bug out, because you're going to want extra capacity, the bag's not necessarily enough. Throw on your bug out pants. You have additional bug out capacity.
So what are you plugging? What's the website?
I own bugoutpants.com.
You selling anything on it?
No, I haven't got it set up yet. I'm actually working with a couple guys to get that set up.
How heavy are the pants going to be?
What's that?
How heavy are the pants going
How
to be?
heavy do you want those pants to be?
Well,
I can customize that.
I like the idea.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer a backpack or a
Well, you
bigger
have
bag.
both. You're not going to replace one with the other.
The only thing about...
It's additional bug out capacity.
So I'm going to go ahead and say this. When I was a younger man, I used to drink a beer or two from time to time. Or 4.
That's disappointing.
Right? And so one thing I would do is I would wear cargo pants.
Mm-hmm.
And I would put a beer here and I'd put beer in the cargo pants. I'd have 4 beers on me. All right. I'd have 4 cans of beer. If I'm going to a party or something, I'd take 4 cans of beers. I might not drink them all myself. I might hand them out. It weighs you down quite a bit. Then you got to tighten the belt. So when you have a lot of heavy stuff in your pants, it can just, it's not that comfortable.
Well, no.
But if you're bugging out, I guess that's a secondary consideration.
Well, now is carrying a 26-pound backpack super comfy? Like, bugging out is not about the comfort.
It's not comfy.
It's like,
you just don't want your pants to fall down.
Right. Well, that's why you have the bug out belt, which is like a modular molly belt that has things that connect onto it too.
Here's another thing I used to do, by the way. When you were young and you went to the movie theater, did you ever go, before you went to the movie theater, go and buy food to take in the movie theater?
I still do that now.
Absolutely.
Because that stuff is junk and it's super expensive, and who wants to wait in that line? Yeah. Speaking about coronavirus, you're waiting in the line at the movie theater. That seems like prime time coronavirus territory. Like, you're right there.
The popcorn could also easily be infected.
Boy.
So I also would stuff a bunch of stuff in my pants
to
take it in there with me, and I would also get into a similar situation where the weight would pull down on the waistline a little bit.
I think this reflects more on your hips than it does on the concept of bug out pants. I don't think you have.
Look, I'm just trying to help you if you're going to do the bug out pants thing. You just want to think about how you can do the waist management.
With the bug out belt.
What's different between the bug out belt and the regular belt?
The bug out belt is pre-loaded with certain attachments. Okay, let me give you an example, Adam. Let me just give you an example. All right. You got your bug out bag, right? Your backpack, and it's ready to go.
Is it always a backpack?
Typically, a bug out bag is a backpack, right? You put the backpack on, but you're going to want, part of the bug out culture is having weapons. You're going to need probably a pocket knife for utility tasks. And then many people include in their bug out kit a firearm of some kind, and also a large knife, a machete type thing. But a machete that's in your backpack, your bug out bag, is not as useful as a machete that's at hand.
On your waist.
That's on your waist.
Yeah.
So with a bug out belt and bug out pants, you can actually have those types of things, your firearm, ammunition, things like that, and on a belt like a canteen or something to drink from, etc., a little more accessible and ready to go than in your bag.
We still haven't solved the problem of holding up your heavy pants, but it's cool. I like it with more accessories on there. But your pants still might fall down.
Yeah.
In this scenario, so just be prepared if you go to bugoutpants.com.
You're going to find nothing because it's really not happening as of yet.
But also, make sure you have strong hips.
Also, yeah, you're going to want to have robust hips or a big rump.
Robust hips and a big rump.
Something that keeps your pants from
Now I
falling
know my target. Now I know my target market.
For sure, dude.
That's going to be my banner ad.
Yeah.
Robust hips. Bugoutpants.com.
Are you a brick house?
Robust hips.
You're going to want to have a robust hips.
Thick as gravy, bugoutpants.com.
Are you thick? Do you need to get out of town in a hurry? You come to the right place.
Robust hips. Oh, that's great. I have to name something robust hips. I mean,
maybe your next child.
That could be.
Or Zach, maybe your first child.
Yeah, absolutely.
Robust hips.
Keep it in mind. Robust. Yeah. First name robust, middle name hips.
Yeah.
Just put a belt on it.
All right, what's this next one? This is also a Vox article.
A tiny Amazon seller's hand sanitizer went viral because of coronavirus. Then the trouble began.
This was pretty good little article here. Pretty long. Very long article. Did you notice that it was pretty long?
Yeah, it was long.
Vox puts out long articles.
Vox, yes, it's a clickbait site. They throw up weird headlines and then have a big fluffy article that could be vastly reduced in word count. Yes,
And I felt like the headline here was a lot juicier than the actual article.
What was the trouble? It actually didn't stick with me. What was the trouble?
So you weren't able to finish this article, right?
Oh yeah, my subscription was.
Yeah. So there's this lady. She's selling stuff on Amazon.
Right.
Organic chi.
What's it called?
Organic chi.
So I think she said it's an anti.
Or chicks, but I'm not totally sure.
Well, how would you pronounce something spelled CHIX? Because you have Grand Prix, right?
Right.
And that's why Zach was using organic chi.
Instead
But then
of chick.
chi is actually its own thing.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a French word. And then it's a woman selling it, so chicks, organic chicks.
I think it's chicks in this case.
Okay,
Yeah.
could be either.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Brian. But Zach, I don't want to make you feel bad or anything. So, either way, I think we have an either way situation. Yeah, well, you should, all right? Because it was a pretty bad mistake. No,
My business, no, my business.
So-
Millions.
That one typo could cost you millions of dollars, Zach.
Nice, very good.
That's what we call a callback, Adam.
That was sweet. Well played. So, the lady had this. Product that was selling pretty well because she claimed that it had some benefits. And then I think one of her competitors somehow hijacked her product page and started selling their own products. So then she put in a complaint to Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon tried to rectify the situation, but in the process of rectifying it, they found out that there was something suspicious going on with that page.
Mm-hmm.
And so they took the page down altogether.
And so she was out of luck.
And so there was some internal issue because Amazon is so big and they have algorithms keeping an eye on stuff that they determined her page was in violation of some policy. And they kept taking it down. But she already had this surge in business. So she had bought a whole bunch of inventory and hired extra people because she thought that the demand was going to keep up. And then she ended up losing a bunch of money because of stuff that happened with Amazon. Amazon tried to rectify it. They did fix it. But then there was another problem and it went back down again. So I think the underlying issue... And then they got on some kind of a moral issue in here talking about how Amazon is both super good for small sellers because it gives them such a wide audience, but how they're so bad because they're so big that they can't pay enough attention to what the little people are doing, which is all true, but that's just kind of business, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, what do you do if you're organic chi?
you just have to stick
Chicks, organic chicks.
You just have to stick it out. Sometimes things are good, sometimes things are bad. No matter what, you're going to have problems, and you just have to roll with it. And actually, I like the gal. What was the last thing that she said at the very bottom? Right there.
You have to look at the long term.
Yes.
Hicks. Her name's Hicks.
This is a
H-I-X,
short-lived episode. It's resolved, and we're going forward.
That's right there. The attitude
She's got the right
successful
attitude.
business owner needs to have. No matter what, you just keep going forward. You roll with the punches as they come in, and then you just keep going.
It sounds like that time on bugoutpants.com when the robust hips people came in and co-opted my website. I got to tell you, that was a big. But I just, what I said, let's just roll with it. It's a long-term play here.
Which people have the most robust hips? I'm talking ethnicities now. Samoans, they got big hips.
Well, they're big folk.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of hip to waist ratio,
hip to waist.
I'm gonna go. Latina women are known for having
big hips,
small waist, and big hips.
But so for your bug out pants, we don't just need a wide hip. We need a thin waist and then a wide hip. Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm not saying that at all. That's not what I said.
No. All right.
I'm borderline uncomfortable speaking of ethnic hip differences. This sounds a little. What do you think, Zach? This is.
Yeah, that's why I didn't comment. I didn't comment at all.
You want to know something? Zach always does that.
What's that?
He lets me say something borderline controversial, and he does not chime in whatsoever. He just goes, okay, so anyhow, the next article here says this one. Say something controversial, Zach.
Yeah, Zach, come on, have the courage of your convictions. Tell you, who are the hippiest? What's the hippiest ethnicity? Come on, don't. There's no cop out here.
Hipsters.
Hipsters, not really an
ethnicity.
Oh,
I see what he did there.
It's a cop out.
I see what he did there because they have hip in the name. I get it.
All right, so let's just do one final word on the coronavirus here before we sign off.
Right.
Brian, what are your predictions for what's going to happen now with the coronavirus? Seriously.
Serious prediction?
What do you think is actually going to happen?
Today is March 16th.
Yep.
By March 20th, I think that Washington and at least parts of Washington and some other states will be in a full Italy-style lockdown. And I think that most of America will be in a full Italy-style lockdown within 2 weeks. And it's going to last longer than any of us want. And it's going to be more economically painful than any of us can imagine, even if the disease doesn't seem to be as widespread or as fatal as we think it should be to justify all the societal pain we're going to go through.
All right, Zach, what do you think's going to happen?
So if that happens, then this may be our last in-person podcast for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So if a lockdown happens, then we won't be able to come in and get together. We'll just have to still make us stay at home. How do they enforce that? They just have cops in the streets keeping everybody off the roads?
They may have road checks. They may be checking people to ask them why. I mean, in any time, obviously there are, I don't know how many millions of people are in here. There aren't nearly enough police or National Guard to really be one-on-one.
So it's just the honor system pretty much.
Well, all of law enforcement, all of society is essentially a big version of the honor system, right? That's what it means to be a part of a society. So it will rely, but it will also rely on people's desire to not get infected. And that's a very strong desire for most people.
But what do you think is going to happen, Zach?
I don't think there will be a lockdown.
You don't think so?
Well, this sounds like a wagering opportunity to me.
So why don't you think that? You just can't see it happen.
I think people are doing well enough already of social distancing that.
Said the guy who's sitting shoulder to shoulder with two other dudes.
Not me. I'm not saying about me. I'm saying most people.
We're clean. We're clean. I feel fine. We're obviously fine.
Yes.
Also, Brian's here too, and he wants a lockdown. So
no, I didn't say I wanted one. I said I think it's going to happen.
I think. Can I go ahead and give?
Please, it's your podcast.
I just want to say this is a totally uninformed opinion. Brian's read.
Is that kind of the basis of podcasting?
Well, you've actually read some stuff on it and thought about it.
A little bit, yes.
I get all of my information secondhand on the coronavirus. I have not looked into it and thought about it at all. So you probably shouldn't listen to what I'm going to say. Because it's never happened in my lifetime, I have a hard time believing that we're going to have a drawn-out crisis. Not that it can't happen. I just have never seen it happen. For example, we've had other scares in the past. We've had our SARS. We've had our swine flu. We've had our bird flu.
Yep.
What's the other one we had?
9/11. H1N1.
9/11. 9/11 went on for a long time, dude.
H1N1 was a big one.
H1N1.
Bird flu.
So I know that stuff never showed up. Even the Ebola. Remember when Ebola was big?
Chicken pox.
And generally, these things that have always... That's a long time ago.
That's been an ongoing pandemic for 85 years.
Generally, these scares have tended to fizzle out much quicker than people
Has any previous
scare
since the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic resulted in even what we've already done?
That's the part that we have not seen before. But, and like you were saying, technology is just getting better all the time. I think you said they're already working on a vaccination.
Yes, they're in trials already.
So I can foresee a lockdown happening. I can see that coming. And if that happens, you know what? The sun's out. Just hang out at your house. Go out in your yard. Spend some time with your family. Plant some stuff. I mean, we have more than enough food, so everybody's going to be fine. I don't think you have too much to worry about. Nobody in the United States really starves to death. And I'm sure that if you can't pay your mortgage...
Are you sure?
I'm sure that if you can't... I am sure. Who starves to death?
Not a single person starves to death.
Not really. No, not in the United... It's the opposite. We have obesity problems here.
By and large, that's true.
We're not trying to fight starvation. We're trying to fight diabetes and stuff, like from people eating too much of bad stuff. So the only thing that I think we probably will see a lockdown. I think that this will probably be resolved quicker than most people are estimating, or what you're estimating.
I think it'll take till May.
You think so? It'll take till May? I just get a feeling that we'll have some massive action, and that will make a lot of progress, and things could clear up faster than we're currently thinking. But also, I think if people have the right mindset, a lot of things are about mindset. We don't necessarily need to be getting ourselves into a recession mentality. Obviously, you need to prepare. But just because you have less money coming in doesn't mean your life is miserable. You can still be happy. You can still get momentum in your life. Well, you don't like that? What do you think? Go ahead.
having cash flow problems is one of the most miserable things that you can go through.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
I mean, I don't know if anyone who's listening to this is a server at a restaurant,
Yeah.
but they have lost their income entirely as of today. They have no income.
They have no income.
Yes. People who are ushers at sporting events, people who do maintenance at city facilities, teachers. They haven't banged out what's going to happen with the teachers yet.
Sure.
They're not working.
But that's a good point. But here's
A
what
huge swath of society is currently
Understood.
out of work
So,
as of today.
Okay, but just because you can't wait tables at a restaurant, like you're going to be home right now with a whole bunch of time. The thing you don't want to do is watch Netflix all day. The thing you don't want to do is play video games all day.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a bad situation like a lady in the article here who had her whole website taken down and she invested all of her money and then everything dried up. There's still a bunch of stuff you can do.
Okay.
You can learn. You can try to learn how to do something else. You can go out and look for other types of work. You can look for remote work. We do remote bookkeeping and accounting. There's all types of online stuff that you can do. And even if you can't get paying work, you could still learn. You could still better yourself. You could spend time with your family. You could still be productive.
How does any of that pay the rent and buy food?
So you already know we're going to get massive government programs coming in.
Do you?
For sure.
You think the government's going to pay your rent?
Here in the state of Washington, in particular, we have a very liberal government. We already help tons of poor people get free food and pay the rent. I mean, that's already something that's happening. So I think we can feel quite certain, at least in the state of Washington, I don't know how it would be in more conservative states, but I think you can feel quite certain that we're going to get massive government aid to help people that are going to have to stay home from their work. In one form or another, I don't know if employers are going to have to pay for it or if the government is going to step in with aid packages, but count on it. Count on it. That is definitely going to happen. I don't know if it'll happen in Alabama or anything, but...
Okay.
You don't think so?
I think there's going to be massive government aid. I think most of it will go through businesses rather than directly to people. As is typically the case, the people that need the assistance most probably will get the least assistance. I can foresee a scenario in which this is utterly and truly disastrous for our society economically and socially. I'm not saying that will happen, but I can definitely foresee a scenario in which it does.
I mean, the good thing about and we'll wrap it up here. Zach, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think's going to happen?
Yes.
No, you don't want to chime in? I told you never says anything controversial.
Yeah. That's not controversial what I just said. I couched it.
No, but
I agree. I agree.
I would say there's so much conscientiousness about this issue and about this problem. Governments are already taking unprecedented action. Forced lockdown and quarantining, they're already doing things that never happened in the United States.
Yeah.
Right?
Broadway doesn't close down.
No.
New York City's restaurants and bars
they're already doing
it's
that.
Unprecedented.
So the next step wouldn't be then to send everybody home to let them starve to death and die and go bankrupt. That's not what the next step here is. The next step is for the government to step in and not let that happen, for sure. To the extent that they can. I mean, governments don't have their own resources. They can only take money from some people and give it to others. But for whatever can be done by governments, I'm sure will be done or will be attempted. So, but I think it's gonna not last as long as you're thinking it is.
You're putting your faith in the competence of government.
I'm putting my faith in the power of government and the power and the desire of politicians to be liked by people, so much so that they will take massive action. It seems like that's what's going to happen. It'll be carried out incompetently, but things have a way of working themselves out, and I think that's what's going to happen here.
Okay.
Yeah. All right,
There
Zach, you want to leave it at that?
That's it.
What else is there?
Pretty thin, Zach. Pretty
Wow.
thin. If it wasn't for that hair, dude.
I got to tell you, this guy is. If I'm the brains and you're the muscle, this guy's just for looks, just purely for looks.
No, and curating the articles.
Right.
Which basically means just going on to Business Insider and just copying and pasting the top 5 articles.
Yeah, Fox.
Yeah.
Place that thinks he's already on for 8 or 6 hours, 6 or 8 hours all day anyhow, and he's just picking some winners.
So this might be the last podcast where you'll see videos of us like this. We'll just do it on Zoom next time or something like that. We'll do it on Zoom.
And obviously this is my first and last appearance on here.
I like having you.
Either through disinterest of the audience or my possible coronavirus death.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
Well, me and Zach will get together and talk about you behind your back.
I assume that's what this podcast has been up to now.
And then, it's all about you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Super
It's about
egocentric,
all the bad stuff about me.
Yeah. So we'll get together, talk about you behind your back, and then we may or may not have you back on
Okay.
for another episode.
Excellent.
I don't appreciate the pessimism. You'll call it realism, but I need you to be naively optimistic on this program, Brian.
Okay.
All right. Zip it up and zip it out.